That's fine. That looks like the perfect color of coffee, though.
It is perfect. They took a long time, though. There's no one in line. I was waiting. I was like, I have somewhere to be.
They were handcrafting it for perfection.
Yes.
I love it. Hey, we're back with another episode of Pump and Dump. I'm here with Kayla, one of our newest and youngest moms in the group. She's here to talk about her birth story. We took a little break on birth stories last week to talk about RSV and some more current things, but Kayla's here. She's excited to tell her experience, and we're excited to introduce a new mom to our group. So, hey.
Yes, hi everyone.
You might want to move a little closer.
I am excited to be here. I have a really good story for you guys, and I wanted to bring some awareness to other moms who might go through the same thing as me. I wanted to start off by saying I did a lot of research and reading throughout my pregnancy, and
You wanted to be prepared.
Yeah, I wanted to be prepared as best as I could. My mom kept saying, stop reading. And several people told me to stop reading, and, I mean, knowledge is power, right?
Yeah. What were you reading? Like, was it the what to expect stuff, or did you find your own things?
I have a book. I have a ton of books. I did so much research, followed people on Instagram. I can even hashtag those accounts on our...
Share them.
On our Pump and Dump.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, knowledge is power, and, like, I had a great experience. Pregnancy was rough. I'll start off by saying that I had nausea every day of my pregnancy. I had to take...
Every day, like, up from
every day.
What point did... Because mine didn't start... So it's funny because I took my pregnancy test, and, you know, at that point, you're, 4 weeks usually, once you miss your period. So
yeah, I'd say so, yeah.
I took the test, and I'm like, I mean, I believed it, but I was like, I have 0 symptoms. Like, I would not have known I was pregnant had I not just taken the test out of precaution. And I remember telling Craig's cousin, who is now a NICU nurse, I'm like, I feel great. And she's like, oh, just wait. Literally, that following Monday after that weekend, I had to call off work because I thought I had the flu. Yeah. And then it didn't stop for 2 months.
That's crazy.
The morning, quote-unquote, morning sickness, which never is just the morning.
Yeah.
It's like, who termed that?
Yeah. I hate the term just wait. Can I just say that? I hate the just wait. Like, keep your just waits to yourself.
Like we could do a whole podcast on all the stupid just wait comments. Like,
I know, like, oh, you know, we're enjoying it now. They'll be like, oh, just wait until they're toddlers. Like, we know what we signed up for.
Right.
So.
Just wait for the sleepless nights. Okay.
Yeah, like, I don't sleep now. So.
Fine.
You know.
So at what point did your nausea start for you?
So I remember I was at Denny's. We were eating. It was February 17th, I remember.
Wow, you know the exact day.
And I told my fiance, I said, I am going to go get a pregnancy test because I was late. And I knew I was pregnant. And I finished my whole meal, but that's, like, normal for me.
Okay.
But I knew I was pregnant, and he's like, you're not pregnant. That's what they all say. So I went home, took the pregnancy test, and the next thing you know, I was crying in the shower because...
You're pregnant.
Yeah, like, I didn't know how to react. Oh. Like, I called my best friend and told her and, you know, told Rayson. We were very excited, obviously. But, yeah, so it started from that day I found out. I started feeling nauseous, and then it didn't go away the whole pregnancy.
Up until...
All morning. Up until the minute she came out.
Wow. Wait, so yours was just the morning?
Just the morning mainly, really? But sometimes after meals and stuff, I'd act up. But
mine was almost never first thing in the morning. It was like as the day went on, I just couldn't keep my food down. Mine
was mainly like 6:30 a.m. was the worst time.
Really?
And I get up at 6 a.m. for work. And I work from home, but good thing I work from home because
same.
Yeah,
I mean, there were days where I just had to, like, lay my head on my desk because I just couldn't.
With a trash can next to you.
And thank God we could go to the comfort of our own bathroom, right?
Yeah.
And I hadn't told anybody really yet because you're so early on.
Mm-hmm.
So to try to hide that at work would have been, tricky. And then I remember because I was so sick and, you know, the first trimester exhaustion is, like, it's up there with newborn exhaustion, like, no sleep. But I remember... my lunch breaks, I'd take naps.
Oh, yeah.
As soon as I clock out for the day, go right into the bed, and Craig would come home. He's like, what are you doing? I'm like, I can't today. Yeah. I have to take a nap again.
I would nap on my 30-minute break, and I got a 15-minute break every 2 hours, and I would even go and close my eyes on that because I didn't even care if I woke up either.
Right.
I just had to sleep, yeah. But yeah, I took a pill every night, and then, so I'm just going to jump to 35 weeks.
Okay. This is when things got real.
Yeah, I just wanted to hit that the pregnancy was pretty rough for me, but I had such a good transition into my labor and delivery. It was great. So at 35 weeks, I started getting my hands and my feet were really itchy.
Oh.
And hands, foot, and mouth was going around, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like, please don't be hands, foot, and mouth. So I call my OB, and, you know, my fiance is like, oh, you're fine. You're healthy. I call my OB. I said, my hands and feet are extremely itchy. Like, I'd be up in the middle of the night itching, like,
Just your
so
hands
weird.
and your feet.
Just my hands and my feet. So weird. So they sent me for blood work. Blood work came back, and they said, they didn't tell me why, but they said, honey, you need to go to labor and delivery to go get monitored. So
That's alarming.
yeah, so this is 9/19 on a Monday. So I clocked out of work. My fiance comes home, and I already had the bags packed because, you know, we're already on top of that. So I get my boppy pillow, get everything I need. We go to labor and delivery. They take more blood work, and it turns out that my liver enzymes are extremely high. They were at 400, and they're normally at 30 to 40.
Wow.
For normal people.
That's insane.
Yeah, so, and I'm really healthy. I mean, other than my baby sucking the life out of me, but I am
As
a
they
normally
do.
healthy
They
person.
literally suck the life out of you. And
Yes.
just for some foreshadowing with breastfeeding, it continues.
Yes, it does.
Continue to suck the life out of you. So
Yes. But yeah, so
she was pulling things from your liver. Like what?
so she was safe. She was
Okay.
healthy. She was safe. It was my health declining. So
Okay.
it's called cholestasis. It's whenever it's a liver. It's I don't know what the term is for it, but it's just your liver failing kind of.
Wow.
So, yeah, that was a first for me. So then I had some high blood pressure, and they did diagnose me with severe preeclampsia. And at this point, I was 35 weeks and 6 days. This is after I've, realized that my hands and feet are itching, and I took action. And I'm going to say always trust your bodies because you know your body best. Doesn't matter if your fiance says you're healthy, like call the doctor.
Yeah, you'll definitely know. Like your mama instincts will kick in before you're even like officially a mom. Like you're gonna feel if something's not right or something's off. So yeah, that's a good point.
Oh. Yeah. The third trimester was definitely not fun because every little thing you're like, oh my gosh, is this normal?
Right. You're like, is
Yeah.
this labor yet? I don't know. Well, what's funny is one of my coworkers, she lives in, I don't know if your job is the same as how mine is, but we have employees all across the country.
Yes.
Okay. So she lives in Philly. And the same time I was announcing that I was pregnant, she was too. And then I was like, when's your due date? They were the same date. I mean, there might have been 1 or 2 days off, but it was the same exact time frame. So this whole time we're like, oh my gosh, like how are you feeling? We're like so excited to have babies at the same time, be on maternity leave together. We were
Probably feeling great in
meeting
the
up.
beginning.
Yeah, and then as we were getting closer, she goes into labor. Well, her water broke like a month early. So it's just crazy that you don't know. It can really happen at any point in time. So you're right. That last trimester, you're just like on edge because you don't know if this is the moment it's going to happen or, is this normal how I'm feeling?
Yep.
These are new symptoms. Yeah.
I told my fiance right when I hit the third trimester, I said, have your bags ready. Of course they weren't ready. I got them ready, just for the record. But I said, be ready. I said, we could literally, go into labor in 2 weeks. Like, you have to be ready. And it's funny.
And it's not going to happen at the perfect time for you to
Exactly. Like, thank goodness I was
take your
home.
time.
And we could, go. But it's funny you say that about your friend because me and Sydney, who's also in our mom group, mother of Cayman, she actually ended up going a little bit early too, but our due dates were 14 days apart. So she was October 6th and I was the 19th.
Wow.
13 days
I didn't
apart.
realize your actual due dates were that close.
Yeah. And then,
So weird.
with our circumstances, I won't get into detail
But
on
you ended
Sydney's circumstances, but our babies are 10 days apart now.
still. Like they just knew.
Yes.
We have to be born close
Yes.
together.
And
That's friendship goals right there.
Yeah, yes. So me and Sydney were able to bond over that, and I was asking her a bunch of questions. But once let's see, where am I at here? So once I once they found out that I had cholestasis and severe preeclampsia, they said, okay, we're going to have to put you on magnesium. And I don't know if you know anything about magnesium, but that is to keep me from having a seizure.
Oh, that's terrifying.
So they put me on magnesium, and it felt like there was a dragon breathing fire on my back.
Oh, your back. How did you have to take it?
They put it through my IV. Like, they put everything through your IV.
So you're like, okay, at this point, are you hooked up expecting that you're going to have your baby, or?
At this point, they told me, yes, they're going to move forward with the induction, and
Wow.
the magnesium was the first step once I got into the labor and delivery room.
I've never heard of the magnesium thing.
It is rough. So the magnesium was hooked up. Once it was hooked up, I couldn't get out of bed.
Oh, kind of like the epidural.
No, I couldn't get out of bed because it makes you groggy and blurred vision, which I felt like I could walk, but they wouldn't let me, which did make me a little upset. But I could not, I had to stay in bed until 24 hours after Ariella was born.
Wow.
Yes.
And I'm sure, just from what you've said with your research, you probably were planning to do different positions.
Yes.
And walk around the room.
I did plan to walk around. My plan was, as we all say, we were trying to go natural as possible, but never once, no matter what anyone said, did I put the epidural, out as a decision, because the epidural is there for you. It's used every day. I mean, if you feel like you need it, that's nothing wrong with that. So,
and I think we touched on this with a couple other birth stories. You can plan and prepare and read, but until you're in that moment, actually feeling it for yourself, you have no idea how you're going to react to it or how it's going to feel for you. So it can change in a second.
I say birth preferences, because when I say birth plan, everyone's like, you can't have a plan. Like,
yeah.
And it's not a bad idea to have a plan,
right?
But
no,
just know that
you're right. I think that's what how I wrote it too.
Like, just know that it doesn't always go that way, but
if you could choose for it to go a certain way, this is how you would want it.
And that's also why I'm sharing my story, because, regardless of health issues or circumstances that are out of your control, I still believe that you can definitely have a good experience. And, I mean, I think a lot of it's also in your mindset. Like, this would be for another podcast, but the main goal that I had the whole time was keeping my oxytocin up. Mm-hmm. If you keep your oxytocin up, that keeps your adrenaline away. And once that adrenaline kicks in, your labor stops. You can go backwards in labor. Like, there's been stories where girls have been 5 centimeters dilated and they went back down to 2 because they weren't in a comfortable environment.
Yes. No, I read a lot. I don't know if we read similar books, but I read a book that was how to have as natural of a birth in a hospital as possible. Mm-hmm. And it opened my mind. There was a lot about it, comparing it to how animals will go into labor. And if you think about it, when like a stray animal, like a dog or something, goes into labor, they will find a dark place to hide in because they want it to be, secluded. They don't really want to be around anybody else.
They need to feel safe.
Private. They want to feel safe, comforted. And what do we do at the hospital? Bright lights.
Yeah.
A ton of people. Noises. Yep. So it is. And I think that transition, I mean, you weren't in labor before you went to the hospital. No. So a little bit different. But I know for me, at least what Craig saw is my transition from how I was handling labor at home. So then when I transitioned at the hospital, he said was so different. He was like, you were in pain for sure at home, but you were able to like manage it better. As soon as you got to the hospital, he was like, it was kind of game over. Like I could tell that you just didn't know how to handle it because your environment changed.
Yeah.
So.
The smell, the lights, the lights are the worst.
I mean, who likes hospitals? Hospitals are not comfortable by any means. I feel like they shoved us in this random room. The bed, did you go to Westmoreland?
I went to Forbes. I had a great experience at Forbes.
Good. But the bed, like, creaked, barely worked. The blinds didn't work. It was just chaos.
Yeah. And, being with Izzy's story, the last podcast, them not taking Cora's temperature, that just didn't seem right at Westmoreland.
Before they left.
Because she was also at Westmoreland, But Forbes was on top of everything. They were just great. The nurses were great. I even nominated them for awards.
Wow. But I've heard other stories. It's just... I think it really just depends on your situation instead of doctors and nurses.
Yeah.
I don't think necessarily is always specifically the hospital. But yeah, it's interesting how two different people can have two completely different experiences at the same place. So, but that's good.
But yeah, so once I was on magnesium, obviously my body wasn't doing the normal process it needed to because I'm not ready to, give birth.
Right.
So the hospital nurses had to obviously help my body, transition. So
what was the concern for you to not go into, not have the baby yet?
So my liver enzymes were the main concern. And with the severe preeclampsia, they had to get the baby out, they said.
Okay.
Yeah. They did mention C-section, and I said, no, we're not doing a C-section.
Yeah.
And I straight up told them, I said, don't even say it again.
Why would they want the C-section?
They just said if there's complications and I can't do it, and I looked right at them and I said, I have been going to the chiropractor. Shout out to Dr. Tressler.
Yes.
I've been going to the chiropractor since I was 5 months pregnant, preparing my pelvic floor.
That's so crazy. I think that's when I started, roughly.
Yep.
Yeah.
Also, something mothers should read up on, your pelvic floor, because no one knows what it is, really.
Yep.
So my doctor was very impressed when I mentioned that.
No, that's true. I mean, you were trying to prepare as much as you could. You're like, no, I'm ready. Dr. Tressler got me ready. I'm prepared to have this baby. And that's not even fair, how to discredit you from the ability to do it.
They shouldn't even mention C-section unless they think, you know?
Unless it's an emergency. Yeah.
So, obviously I'm not dilated, so I okayed a cervix softener. I'm just going to, throw out all the details. I okayed a cervix softener.
I don't even know what that is.
I don't know what it is. It kind of looked like a piece of a tampon.
Okay.
It's much smaller, though.
Okay.
And they just inserted it, obviously, to soften my cervix and start the, induction process. And then once they took that out, I was 1 centimeter dilated. And then I okayed a foily balloon.
I've heard of that.
Instead of me going by myself and waiting hours on hours.
Right.
Who knows. But I okayed that, and that took me to 4 centimeters.
Okay.
So, eventually they came back in and checked me, and I was at 5 centimeters. And at this point, you know how the nurses, have you saw the TikToks of the nurses coming in every hour? That's so relatable.
They did?
Yes.
To check you?
Oh, no, not to check me. But it's to monitor, to check my blood work. They pricked me so many times, they took off my tattoo. Part of my tattoo. That's how many times they pricked me. Yep.
Why? So many different...
Because of my liver enzymes. They were checking that. They kept checking my levels, and the one time it was at 370, next time it was at 400, and it just kept going up. So they...
Even with the magnesium?
Even with the magnesium, which was only to keep me from having a seizure, which...
right.
I didn't think you could get a seizure, but yeah, so I was on magnesium for that.
So they had to keep taking your blood to check your levels?
Yes.
That was the only way? Okay.
Yes. The magnesium was the only thing I didn't read up on because I never thought I'd be in this position.
Right. You know what? And it's so hard to plan for every scenario, right?
Yeah.
You want to... It's good to be knowledgeable on different scenarios because in the moment, you don't want to have to make those tough decisions. It's better to know a little bit about it. And that's why we wanted our doula there, because in the event that these scenarios were to come up, we wanted to make sure that we had a chance to process and make the decision that we felt was best. And
she's there to help explain and advocate for you. So
yeah, and she's there to let you know that you have options, because sometimes it can feel like you don't.
Well, sometimes the doctors make it feel like you don't too,
correct.
Which is not,
They make it feel, and they're giving you their, knowledge that they have. So it's not like who's right or wrong, but yeah, it's definitely overwhelming when it goes a way that you weren't really expecting it to. And what are you gonna do? Like, hold on, don't hook me up. Let me Google magnesium.
Yeah, right. Like, what is this? And I read up on Pitocin too. Yes. I've read some things that Pitocin can slow labor, and, I've heard some negative things about it. I didn't want necessarily any Pitocin, but once I was on magnesium, my whole birth preferences were out the window.
Kind of, yeah.
So, I couldn't, everything I wanted to do, I couldn't do, which was the hardest thing on me. I couldn't bounce on a ball. I couldn't walk the hallways. I couldn't, stand up and have my fiance help me with my contractions.
The dancing.
Yeah, the dancing, none of that. I couldn't do any of that. So once I was at 5 cm, with the nurses coming in and out, I'm exhausted, literally falling asleep.
At this point, how long have you been in the hospital?
I went in the hospital like 11 a.m. on 9/19, and I didn't leave till 9/22 at 1 p.m.
Wow.
Yeah, so what's 3 nights?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, the hospital stay, I mean, it was great, but it's just you can't get any sleep. So I'm at 5 cm, you know, contractions are getting harder, obviously. You know, my fiance's playing on his phone, which is fine. I'm not saying nothing bad about that because he can't help you.
Right.
Like, so I'm falling asleep
I mean,
between.
he gives you some ice chips and stuff.
Well, yeah. So everything was taken care of on that. But I just kept falling asleep between contractions. Like, my head was
Wow.
literally falling.
Because you were just exhausted.
Yeah,
Your
as
body
I was sitting up.
Wow.
So, and I was breathing through them, like, you know, breathing techniques I looked up. I even brought a comb.
I
And, you
was
know,
just going to ask
Yep.
you if you read about that.
I had a comb
one
in my
too.
hand, and I was squeezing it.
Yeah.
Yep.
That all went out the window for me.
Yeah.
So how long did you make it until you got the epidural?
So I was at 5 cm.
Okay.
Contractions were obviously getting more
Yeah.
intense, and I was thinking to myself, they probably psyched me out because they mentioned C-section, but I was thinking to myself, there is no way I could push this baby out
With how exhausted you were?
with how exhausted I am. So I opted in to get the epidural. And every decision I made for my delivery, it was the best decision I could have made.
Yeah.
So, you know, the anesthesiologist came to give me the epidural. It was probably about, I want to say 6 a.m. And I had some really good nurses taking care of me. They told, you know, obviously, Raceland had to go behind the curtain, my fiance, which I'm not comfortable with.
Right. You're like,
Yeah.
stay here.
They, like, don't want them to pass out and stuff, which I understand, but
But, like, that's so weird to me that you're now multiple people that scenario. When Craig was in there with me, he was just in front of me looking at me.
he should be
He
the one
couldn't
in
have
front of
seen,
you.
he didn't see anything that was happening.
Because they're your support person.
Right.
Why am I
I was
holding on to
holding-
Nurse Leah?
Yeah,
You
Leah,
know?
who are you? Like, what? Nurse
So,
Leah.
yeah. But, you know, like, I'm falling asleep while she's trying to put this needle in my back.
gosh.
I was exhausted. And, you know, Nurse Leah's here. She got some chest here. And they go to insert the epidural, and I just went like this, right on her chest. And
Like, passed out or fell asleep?
I passed out. First, I said, I'm going to puke. And she said, are you? And I said, no, I'm going to pass out. And I passed out
changed
right
my mind.
into
I'm
her
actually
chest.
going to pass out.
Yeah, and obviously she caught me. And I, like,
Lower boobs. Caught you.
yeah, exactly. Like, what a better cushion, though.
Thank you. Shout out to Nurse Leah and your boobs.
Yes. So, you know, I woke up, looked at her. Obviously, I'm, like, groggy. Like, probably looked like I drank, like, a whole case of beer or something. I was hungover. But I looked at her, I was real groggy, and she's like, it's okay, honey, you passed out. You must have had, a lot of adrenaline. And I'm, like, thinking to myself, like, I don't got nothing.
There's
Nothing's going on
no
here other than
adrenaline.
exhaustion. Yeah. And, I mean, it sounds silly, but I would, like, smile. Like I was telling you guys in chat the other day. I would smile every so often. Or if I thought I was having a hard time or, like, my mood was going down, because smiling actually increases your serotonin.
Yes.
So
You just would sit there and smile.
I just wanted my oxytocin to go up. Yeah. So I would just smile to myself. Like, I don't even think my fiance saw me.
Wow, that is a skill. That's impressive to be in pain and exhausted and to make yourself smile, because it's
Yeah.
the last thing you wanted to do.
Yes. Yeah, it was a lot. I was in good spirits the whole time I was in the hospital. Other than being bedridden, it was really hard. Especially whenever, you know, you had to go to the bathroom and they'd come in and bring me a frickin' bedpan.
A bedpan.
Bedpan.
I can't. I couldn't.
You can't.
They're like, it's
The pressure
literally-
doesn't help you go to the bathroom.
No,
There's no way.
One, I had to make everybody leave the room because I was like, I can't
I did too.
pee with you all, like, knowing that I'm going to pee. But then, so they all left the room and I was in there by myself, and I'm like, well, they're waiting outside for me to pee, so I still
I
can't
know,
pee.
right?
Like, I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
So I don't even remember what did they do. I had to get a catheter. Yeah.
Oh, so yeah, I almost forgot about that. So when I was on the magnesium, they had to put a freaking catheter in.
Oh my gosh.
So
Well, yeah, because you weren't allowed to get up.
yeah, yep. So that's the only time I cried the whole hospital.
Really?
Was
It hurt?
whenever No, what
Oh, you
was
were just-
when they tried to bring me a bedpan. I almost threw it
Oh.
at them. Because I was like, you can't do this to me. Like, and they're like,
No, it's terrible. And then when they had to take, so after I had cash, they wanted me to empty out my bladder on my own. Well, no, they asked to have the bedpan, but I was like, no, I can get up on my own.
yeah. It's the first thing you want to do is get up.
Yeah, I'm like, I'm going to go pee myself. And then I almost passed out. Yeah.
Getting up.
Yeah, like I stood up and there was one nurse in front of me, one beside me. And she's like, look at me, don't look down. She's like, keep your eyes up.
Aww.
And she just looks at me and I can just like feel, or she goes, are your ears ringing? And I was like, yeah.
Oh, that's
She's
weird.
like, you're about to pass out. Oh. I was like, I am. And so they like laid me back down and like I couldn't hear anything. It was the weirdest thing ever.
It's like you're so vulnerable throughout the whole thing.
It was
you
terrifying.
feel so vulnerable.
I couldn't even get up to go to the bathroom myself.
Yeah,
it's insane. So yeah, then, back with the bedpan again. And they had to empty out my catheter. It took freaking 12 hours, I swear.
And they're just ready to take care of you, which is great. Like the nurses are great, but it's like, sorry, I'm not used to having somebody try to wipe me. So
yeah, well, yeah. I mean, after we could get into this more detail when you're finished with the rest of your birth story, but after giving birth, I wasn't. I knew that there would be some recovery, but I wasn't prepared to have to call the nurse every time I had to go to the bathroom.
Yeah,
because I couldn't do it by myself.
Yeah, it was definitely it was tough. Yeah. I'm trying to think like where I left off.
So you're making yourself smile.
Oh yeah,
you have the epidural.
So I was keeping my oxytocin up. Yeah, I finally got the epidural. So I finally got some sleep. I think I slept for 2 hours, and Nurse Leah came in and woke me up. Damn, Leah. And I said, oh, I think I slept for 2 hours. I feel so refreshed. And she goes, it wasn't 2 hours, but I'm glad that you think so. So I'm like, whatever. Yeah, so whatever. So that was happening. They're coming in, pricking me in between. But eventually they check me, and I'm at 8 centimeters dilated.
Okay.
So my body is progressing exactly how it needed to, keeping that oxytocin up. And I don't feel any contractions at this point.
You did not have Pitocin. Or you did?
They did have to give me Pitocin because of the magnesium.
Oh, they had to start your labor, correct.
Yes, which I was trying to deny some drugs, but they had to give me some drugs to see if my body was taking them in, I guess, to see if it was progressing or not because of my health issues. So,
see, they pushed Pitocin for me for after birth. To help with blood clotting.
Yeah, I was going to say, it helps with blood clotting. I had to think about that one.
Which I can't even remember. I don't know. My doctor was like so pushy.
Yeah. Oh, that's so annoying.
I can't remember if I did it or not.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, she would strategically wait till my doula left the room.
Oh, of course.
Cute. Real cute.
Of course. Yeah. Yeah. So, eventually I'm at HCM, whatever. And they're like, do you have pressure in your rectum? No. Sorry. I don't have pressure in my rectum because nothing's coming out of there. Well, oh, yeah. So that's what I was saying, too. So the anesthesiologist must have been great because I could feel my legs. Oh. I could move my legs.
Wow.
And I could not feel any contractions, nothing. But if you were, going like this on my leg, I could feel it.
Really?
Mm-hmm. And only sometimes did I need help transitioning because eventually I had to go to the peanut ball.
Okay. Yep. I use that.
So I had the peanut ball and they helped me, switch side to side. But honestly, I probably could have did it by myself. Yeah, it must have been really placed really good. I
couldn't even lifted them up.
Yeah, I mean, I had a great experience with the epidural. It wasn't even that bad getting it done. I only had to get it done one time.
Right.
So,
me too. Yeah.
And then, they asked me if I had pressure, and I was like, no, I don't have pressure in my back area. Like, why would I? I hate that they say that. So then, after they checked me and I'm 8 cm, I keep hitting this. She turned around, I said, she's coming. Because I felt this pressure go straight down. I was like, she's coming. So they checked me again. And they're like, all right, we're at 10 cm, you're ready to go. And I looked at Race and I said, did you hear that? We're ready to go. And
she's ready, she's coming.
Yeah, like still smiling, laughing, like I'm ready to go. So next thing you know, my room floods with 20 people. How many people do you think you had in your room? Maybe 20 people?
When he was like coming out?
When I was 10 cm, when I was about to start pushing.
No, the nurse.
Everyone flooded in.
Nope.
None.
Only my one nurse the whole time. My doctor came in a couple times to check. Yeah, it was my nurse and my mom and my doula, Craig.
I mean,
it wasn't until he literally, his head was literally coming out of me that everybody came in.
Did everyone want a show or what? Because I had like 20 or 25 people come in my room.
The whole time? You were pushing?
No, not the whole time, but once I was ready to push, everyone came in. Pediatricians, PAs.
What? Pediatricians?
Everybody.
Maybe because mine was at night.
Mine was at, in the morning. She was born at 11:35
Why
a.m.
was the pediatrician there? You're like, I don't even
It was
have a baby for you yet.
Well, yeah. So it was the pediatrician, a doctor for me. Like, everyone came in. And I think they might have had student staffing, which, like, whatever.
Yeah.
Like, on my original birth preference, I put no student staffing because I don't have time for that.
Fair.
But I think that they were in the room, which, like, whatever. But yeah, so, I'm like, how do I push? So they told me how to push. And obviously I did look into different positions, but I couldn't do that. And I was leaning down, but I had them lean me up.
Okay.
Because, work with gravity.
Yep.
So they told me how to push, which I also wasn't for, the coach pushing. Like, I could feel when I wanted to push, but I couldn't feel that part with the epidural.
Yep.
Obviously.
Yep.
But
that was what made it hard. I feel like that's why I pushed for as long as I did, because I think I did a lot of unnecessary pushing because I didn't know.
And exactly. You don't know. And then they're telling you to hold your breath.
Yeah.
They told me to hold my breath. They told me to breathe in 3 times and then take a deep breath and hold in for 10 seconds, I think.
And then they would take a breath and do it again.
Yeah. And then she'd be like, okay, push. And I'm like, wait a second. You're not on the rhythm I'm on. I was like, wait.
I'm on my own rhythm.
Yeah. So, and then, like, if I would push and scrunch my face, they're like, don't scrunch your face. Push your energy straight down, which it took me like 2 tries. But the first push, the doctors freaked. They grabbed my fiance and they said, oh my God, look, her head's there. Look at all that hair. Like, she almost came out like I swear the first push.
What?
And she distracted me, which is probably why she might not have come out.
Suck back in a little bit.
Yeah, so
Psych.
I pushed through. I ended up pushing through 3 sets of contractions. Coach pushing. And then, after the first or the second push, I think, they were like, do you want a mirror? And I'm like, no, not really, but I just want to see and then take it away.
I'm curious. Let me take a peek.
Yeah, so
what's happening?
They brought a mirror over. I could see everything clear as day. I could see her head and everything. And I said, you know what, leave the mirror.
You wanted to watch her come out.
Yeah, so this is crazy.
Making me emotional. What?
I know, it's crazy. Like, oh my gosh. So the mirror was there, and I pushed through my sets of contractions, and I closed my eye for 1 second. She's like, no, Mama, open your eyes, look in the mirror. And I looked in the mirror, and I saw her straight head, shoulders. She came right out. Like, it was amazing. 3 sets of contractions, and she came out.
That's impressive. And that's
it was
beautiful.
Less than 10-minute delivery.
Wow.
I was
For
very
your first
lucky.
baby?
Yes. Yes, very lucky.
That magnesium.
Yes.
Wow.
So she was, obviously they call her preterm, not premature.
Right, because you were almost 36 weeks. So
yes.
She was really only like 3. They say like 39 weeks you're good, so.
Yes.
3 weeks or so, really.
Who knows? I could have carried till 41 weeks, which I did not want to do. And I didn't want to necessarily go early either, but, I was comfortable. Like, Raceland and I were in the room, and we said, you know what? We're ready for her.
Yep.
So once she came out, she was 5 pounds, 7 ounces.
Little peanut.
Yeah, she was so tiny, so cute, 18.5 inches. It was 11:35 a.m., and it was just a party. Like, everyone was in the room. And when they did come in the room for my delivery to start, I said, let's get the music started. I said,
let's keep that
let's
oxytocin
get the party started.
going.
Yeah, like, I'm not even joking.
Bottles.
I had a labor feed on my phone for music.
Oh my gosh.
And my fiance bought me AirPods specifically because
for labor.
Yep, I was like, I got
amazing.
this, because you don't want to listen to like rain or something to calm you down. I was like, I'm gonna listen to
like Cardi B.
Like Lizzo or something. Like, let's get it started.
It's so funny that you say that, because after I got that epidural and I was feeling better. Did I ever show you this video yet?
No.
I don't have my phone, but I'll have to send it to the chat. I was sitting there and I was extremely nauseous my entire labor too. So I have a little puke bucket on me at all times. And at one point I was like, I want to listen to some music. And my doula was like, all right, I got you. What do you want? I was like, I want Lizzo. It's about damn time.
Right? Like,
and I literally was like, it's about damn time, baby. Come out. And I was like, I want all the Lizzos. I don't know why Lizzo was.
It's hype. It gets you ready. Like, it's like
Lizzo must be
hype.
Like the labor anthem. Like,
we should tell her. She'd probably share us on her Instagram.
She would honestly love that. I feel like to
dump.
know that
Pump and dump.
She could do a song for us.
That'd be so
Pump
funny.
and Dump featuring Lizzo. Yeah. Well, I guess we would be featured. She'd probably be the main one. But no, it seriously got me so hype. I was like, now I'm ready to have this baby.
Yeah, right? Like, it gets you just in such a good mood. That's what you need, especially in that hospital setting. That's what you need.
Yep.
But yeah, so, she was born. I had the best time. And then, obviously, I had to stay on magnesium for 24 hours after.
Oh.
So, my fiance got to take care of all those good, tarry black diapers.
As they should.
Oh, yeah.
So did Craig. I was like,
Yep.
I give any single mother that gives birth on their own so much credit, because even if I had a pretty, non-traumatic birth as well. Like, I didn't have any complications during birth, during labor, and nothing really. I mean, I had a second-degree tear, but it really wasn't that bad. But just the sole fact that I pushed a human out of my vagina and was recovering from that, like, I could not imagine if Craig wasn't there what I would have done. Like, he helped so much with just changing his diaper, handing him to me to feed, and then you're learning to breastfeed on top of it all.
I know.
It's just so much to do yourself that regardless, and then if you have complications on top of that, he was super helpful.
I was grateful. I have no idea how this happened. No idea. But I was grateful. I didn't tear, no stitches, nothing. I know.
You, like, pushed
Who
her out
am
so
I?
easily.
I know. I had no idea how I got so lucky.
That's insane.
I know some people aren't as lucky, but I was very grateful for the way that worked out because my pregnancy was really tough.
Right.
But yeah, like, it's so tough. Like, the minute that she comes out, they try to put her right on the boob. And it's like, I'm sorry, but, like, my boob is 3 times the size of her head. So it's like, it wasn't working immediately. Yeah. And then, originally I said just grandmas and moms as visitors. Oh, no. I mean, and it's fine. It's fine, guys. But we had, like, oh my God, I had like 10 visitors.
Yeah.
Maybe even 12, I'm telling you. People just kept coming in. And I was on magnesium, sleep deprived. Like, I looked so messed up.
Right.
And
because you got your pretend 2 hours of sleep, which probably was 20 minutes.
Exactly. And then they have to do all this stuff after delivery, so you're not sleeping for hours.
They're coming to check on the baby, check on you.
Constantly.
By the time Craig and I went to our postpartum room, I had Cash at 5:35 p.m. By the time we got into our postpartum room, it was almost midnight.
Yeah.
That's how long everything took.
Yeah.
So, no, I did not sleep that night either.
Yeah, it's tough. Eventually, I told them, like, don't come in for a couple hours. They're like, well, we have to check you every 2 hours, like, just to check your monitor.
Yeah.
And I was like, whatever, but please make it, like, 2 hours on the dot. But, yeah, like, once everything happened, I mean, I was doing good. We were in that room, we were in the labor and delivery room until the next day. So at this point, it's like, she was born on 9/20. At this point, it's 9/21 because I had to wait for 24 hours after she was born to get off the magnesium.
Wow.
The minute they took that magnesium off, I was like, I'm going to go freshen up. Got up, went to the bathroom. Oh my gosh. Sitting on a normal toilet was freaking just great. Like, and then
Wait, you could sit on the toilet? Oh, yeah.
I could finally get up. Yes.
Yeah. You were torn. You could just sit on the toilet like normal.
Yes. So I was just like hanging out too. I think I just sat there just to sit there. But after that, I brushed my teeth. I like washed my face, brushed my hair. And then I had this cute little hospital gown and I put it on. And like I'm in my diaper and I looked at my fiance and my bump was gone. Yeah. I looked at him. I was like, who am I?
Is that sad though? I was like so sad. I'm like, where's my baby house?
I wasn't expecting it to like go down as much. Yeah. And I have a tattoo on my stomach and it was perfectly fine. Thank goodness it was fine.
It doesn't look different.
No, it doesn't look different at all.
Interesting.
Thank goodness I got lucky. But yeah, so they moved us to an even bigger room.
Oh.
On 9/21, we moved over there. And as soon as I went in that room with that walk-in shower, I got a shower. This is right after I freshened up, too. I got a shower. It was great. Like, I was barely bleeding, like, minimal bleeding. Like,
wow.
And it was just, I had just a great experience. I have no idea how I got so lucky, but being in that room was great. Fast forward to that night a little bit, maybe about, like, 10 o'clock. They come in and they said, I can't talk. They said Ariella is 2 points off of the Billy Rubin chart. Okay. So, like baby Cora, she had to go under the jaundice light.
Is that because Billy Rubin isn't that related to your liver?
So I think all the discoloration is related to the liver.
So I wonder if that's because of your preeclampsia question?
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure. She wasn't.
Your liver connected to her liver? I guess not, maybe.
Yeah, she was 2 points off of bilirubin, which is what led up to the jaundice, I guess. So they said, what we can do is put her under this light, because she needs to be under this. Izzy called it a tanning bed. I don't know the technical term.
She would call it the tanning bed.
Yeah, but it's the purple light. So she had to go under there for 8 hours, and we wanted to leave the next day because we were there for 3 nights. Mm-hmm. So, the pediatrician came in, and they were so great, so kind. And they said, we can bring the light in right now, and we can put her under the light, like now as a precaution, so that way we could check out earlier.
Oh, okay.
And like not being selfish, like I would have obviously stayed for her health concerns. Right. But if we can get out early, like we're ready to go home as a family.
Yeah.
So she went under the light. She had black shades on her eyes, like baby Cora. She looked like a little incredible.
Oh.
And that's whenever I was reaching out to Izzy. I was asking Izzy all these questions about the jaundice light because I had no idea what to expect. And then I was asking all these questions. I was probably bothering her.
No, but she was probably, I'm sure, happy to help you.
Yeah, well, she told me, because Cora was 5 pounds, a couple ounces too. Mm-hmm. I think maybe like 5'5", I don't know. But she told me to keep Ariella wrapped. Mm-hmm. The hospital didn't tell me that. So if her temperature dropped, I would have went back to the hospital like her and Dylan and Cora did.
Why wouldn't they say you wear a hat? I feel like that is like a given. I mean, they give you a hat in the hospital, so you'd think that they'd be like, keep this hat on the baby.
Exactly.
Because a lot of their heat escapes from their head and their feet.
Mm-hmm. Well, she was wrapped good, obviously, but when we took her home, my fiance and I kept her bundled. Like, we're talking an outfit, a swaddle, and some blankets over her.
You were going to be a warm little miss.
Yeah, because I said to Izzy, I was like, asking questions, and she's like, do not let her temperature drop. She's like, bundle her up. And I'm like, well, what's too much? And she's like, she'll tell you if it's too much. I was like, okay. So I kept her bundled up. We did not have to go back to the hospital for her. I did go back to the doctors twice for like my health concerns.
Okay.
Because being off the magnesium, I had blurred and slow vision. And then I don't know about you, but did you have any... I mean, obviously your back might hurt just a little bit, but did you have any headaches from your epidural?
I don't think so, no.
Because I guess you can get spinal headaches.
Yeah.
And
No, I've heard of that.
Yeah, they said that you have to lay down when you get the headache.
Oh.
So I was experiencing that and magnesium, not magnesium withdrawal, but like magnesium symptoms.
Yeah.
And I went to the doctors for that and high blood pressure. But they never gave me blood pressure medication, but, everything is fine now. I did just get my liver enzymes checked with blood work on Friday. I'm just waiting for the results.
Oh, you don't know?
Yeah, I don't know yet, but I feel healthy. I feel good.
Yeah.
I'm in a good mindset, so they keep asking me about postpartum depression, which is definitely for another episode, but right now I'm in a good mindset.
Yeah.
When I start back to work, I might not be in the best mindset, but,
it's a whole, and that's kind of what we touched on a little bit last episode too, and I think it deserves its own episode.
Oh, yeah.
But it is an evolving thing because there's going to be so many different changes, and you're just going to try to be balancing more things at once. So it's a constant thing. It's
not fair. It's what it is. It's not fair. We have to go through so much. We can never just
right. I was just thinking because I've just passed a year when I found out I was pregnant, so over a year now of my life has been devoted to somebody else. And that takes a lot out of you physically, obviously, but mentally too, because you don't get a break when you're pregnant. You don't get a day off. And not that none of us are not grateful for it. I felt so lucky to have the, opportunity to carry him, and but it's every single day, all day long. You do not get a break. And then once you get to the end there where you're like so uncomfortable and you're not sleeping, and then for me at least, my labor started on 1 hour of sleep. So I feel like since the day he was born, I've not been able to catch up on sleep.
I know.
From the day he was born. I have not caught up. So it's hard. It is. Your body goes through a lot. We're literally superheroes. We
really are.
It's insane. And all the different stories of how, different the experience can be for everyone. It's insane.
Like, if people ask me, like, is this what I was expecting? Like, I don't know how to answer that because it's like, and like people say, like, oh, were you ready for that? Like, I don't think you can necessarily ever be ready for a kid. And every kid is different. I mean, look at all of our previous podcasts. All of our kids are different. So, and you know, my daughter's obviously the newest baby. So I'm so glad I have my support group of you girls because I don't know.
At this point, enough of us have gone through things.
Yeah, like I don't know what I would do without our group because I don't have too many friends I can, you know, ask, especially with babies. So now I have all you guys, and now my daughter has all these friends.
Yeah.
So I'm really thankful for that.
It definitely makes a difference. And just, even if you have, I have some friends with children too, but they're, you know, 2, 3 years old now. So not that they don't remember what happened when they had a baby, but it's just different having moms who are going through it the exact same things you're going at the exact same time.
Yep. And especially the different ages too. And then you have other friends who, they do have kids, but they might be the type of friends to be like, oh, just wait. Like we were talking about in the beginning, like, just wait. Like, I don't want to hear the just wait.
No.
Like, with you guys, I can...
There's an ant crawling on the wall. She killed it.
With you guys, I can, like, talk raw. You know what I mean? And, like, you guys give me a raw answer. And, you know, like, if you don't know, you say you don't know. Like, that's it. Like, we don't know. Like, if my kid gets sick, like, I don't know how to give her medication. Like, I'm going to have to ask you guys. I mean, like, I have Tylenol and stuff, but, like, I don't even take medication.
I know. That's been a topic with Craig and I because I don't either. Like, this whole time I've been sick, I took nothing. But it's so different when you're like, this is my little baby. Like, I don't want you to be in pain. It's different if it's me. Like, I can, whatever, I can handle it. You know your limits, but you don't know, like, how your baby will be feeling. So it's tough. All of it, we're doing it for the first time. Yeah. So, and you can Google things and ask for advice from people. Googling is the worst, though, sometimes. Literally, it's always like, you're dead.
Yeah, like, you like take them to the emergency room.
You're like, oh crap, really?
But you just literally learn as you go, or you learn with your support group like I have, because I have, there's 7 or 8 of us?
Yeah.
I think there's 7, so... I'm so glad Izzy invited me to the group. Shout out to Izzy because I seriously had so many questions, and I feel like I'm so much more knowledgeable now since I had you girls.
It's so weird because I didn't know it was you.
Yeah.
Like, I've known of you because we all went to high school together. You were a grade or 2 younger than us, but when you were first added to the group, you were KK, and I didn't know who KK was. Like,
yes.
And then once I saw you post a couple videos, and I was like, oh, I know her. It was just weird how I had to make the connection.
Everyone calls me KK, yeah. And I was like, oh, I feel like I'm intruding because I was like, they're all friends, but like, I don't know. No, I think we all clashed together good, so.
Yeah, we just all bonded.
Yeah.
Just recently. It's weird because we just were saying how we feel like we've been friends so much longer than just this past 4 months.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
I've talked to you guys more than I've talked to my other friends.
Well, yeah, we talk every day.
Like,
all day.
Literally all day.
All day long.
And we can relate on so many things. Like men, which is like another podcast, like, which is all normal. Everything's normal. Like, you know, but like cleaning, like just the overwhelmed feeling of like everything's piling up, like the weight on your chest, like, does it go away? Maybe it will never go away, but Probably we not. Talk about how to cope with it, etc. Like, you know, we can relate.
These are all topics that we plan to talk about now that we got a lot of birth stories out there. So, but if there's any topics that you guys are interested in or that you would like us to share our experiences with, we do have an email address. It's pumpanddumptalk@gmail.com. And the Instagram page I mentioned last time is just Pump and Dump Podcast. We post a lot of informative things on there, trying to stay interactive with it. You can always send us a message on there if you have any questions or, you know, it's crazy as soon as we started putting stories out there, how much feedback we got. I was blown away about different women reaching out to us saying, like, thank you so much for sharing your stories. I related to this. And that's just what we're here to do. We're real life people, real moms trying to figure it out as we go. We hope to help one person relate. If you don't have that circle, we want to be your circle.
Yep, exactly. And if you have questions, reach out because, you know, we want to be there for you guys too. The messages are really heartfelt too that you guys were getting. So maybe someone will say something nice about this episode because I'm hoping that I can relate to other moms or, you know, moms that are going through it. And we should definitely link our some books that we've read. And I can link
yeah.
some Instagram accounts onto the Pump and Dump page if anyone's interested, because I have some really good accounts that
For the
are very
moms to
helpful.
be. Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
Free tutorials, free classes. I've taken a birth class. My friends might have made fun of me for it, but I've taken a breastfeeding class. Like, knowledge is power,
Yep.
so just don't forget that, ladies.
Yeah, for sure. Well, thanks for joining me, Kayla. It was fun, and we'll catch you guys on the next episode.
Yeah, see you guys then.
Bye.